Let's do it. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode here on the Digital Trade Show podcast at the Profitable Dentist Conference in Orlando, Florida. I'm here with a friend today, Laura Hatch from Front Office Rocks. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you. I know you have been traveling all over, speaking all over.
I have Jamaica, Cruise, Orlando, Boston. I'm back in Charlotte in 2 weeks, so I'm fighting a cold because I've been on the road too long. So, but it's all good.
It is good, and it's so good to have you. And I'm excited because we connected back in October of last year at
crazy,
one of
right?
Elijah's first events. I know. And so much since then with the company and all the people that you're working with and stuff like that. So, but for those of you that do not know you, and certainly it's getting smaller, more and more people are learning about you, but talk a little bit about your story and kind of, what brought you to where you are today.
So I own Front Office Rocks, which is an online training website for front office teams. I started in dentistry in 2002. I have a background in organizational development, training, sales, management. Got into dentistry and knew nothing about dentistry. At the time, my husband is a dentist and asked me to run his practice. And over my years in dentistry, I realized that so many dentists feel like they have to hire people that have dental experience in the front.
Right.
But they don't necessarily, just because you know Dentrix or codes or numbers doesn't mean you're actually, super great customer service, skills, personality.
Right.
So I felt like there was something missing for from the dentist to be able to hire people with just good personalities. We'll teach them the dental. Yep. So, and also, we have turnover in the office all the time. And so for me, hiring people and having to explain again what dental codes are and procedures and insurances. So I started making videos. And it was kind of a hobby. It was sort of on the side. I thought, well, if I don't have to explain in and out of network one more time, that'll save me. And it took off. I started about 5 years ago, and it's become, Front Office Rocks is growing quite a bit. And it's a resource you can use in your office. You can put somebody in front of videos. It's great right now with the younger, I have dentists and millennials coming in and they get it. They just sit down and watch videos and it can train the front office. So I think I got in at the right time.
Absolutely.
And I'm all focused on that front office, that receptionist that's never answered the phone in a dental office and gets those questions. That's who I'm there to help train. Yeah,
and I think what I love most about it, Laura, is the fact, and you mentioned the timing. For so long, education was clinical, rightfully so. But there's those two other pillars of the leg in the practice. There's the people and the practice management, and everybody now in the practice is getting more attention, rightfully so. And it just happened to be that you brought together your resources, and it's certainly no surprise. I think why so mmany people want to use it.
Yeah, I think that the front office team is undervalued.
Sure.
Both by the dentist and by themselves, honestly.
Sure.
I named it Front Office Rocks for that reason. I wanted the dentist to realize how important the front office is, that we're the rock stars. We are the first and last impression of every patient experience. So I wanted the dentist to respect the front office team, and it's not their fault. They weren't taught in dental school how important it is to greet patients and talk to patients and get them to schedule. They were taught clinical.
Right.
I also wanted the front office team to realize how important they are. I think they feel like I'm just a receptionist, or I'm just a scheduler, or I'm just because we don't have any letters after our name. We don't get to go to clinical CE. We don't, we're kind of forgotten about in the front, and we shouldn't be, because patients don't judge us on dentistry. They don't know if you're a good dentist or not. They don't know if your hygienist is a great hygienist. They judge us on their experience.
Right.
And the front office team plays a huge part in the patient experience. And so I agree. I think I think that dentists are starting to get it, but they didn't really have a place to go.
Yeah.
And that's really what I've been focused on.
Well, and I will tell you, we were talking a little bit before we started to record here, is a couple weeks back, I've been doing some work with the AADB, which is American Association of Dental Boards, and just having a general conversation about how continuing education is changing.
Yeah.
And I shared with the team that I met there, and I said, there are a lot of people in the industry. I mentioned you. I mentioned Kevin Henry on the dental assistant side, where there is more of a focus and needs to be more focus on the education side for everybody in the practice. Yeah. Because of how successful it can make it. Yeah. And people are listening.
Well, I want to give the Profitable Dentist a huge shout out. Steve, we were talking about this earlier and last night about how Yesterday was amazing speakers. Elijah Desmond, me, Gary Takis, Gary Cady, amazing speakers about the whole importance of the entire team.
Yep.
The importance of customer service, the importance of, systems and huddles and handoffs and all of that. And today, I mean, they're in there geeking out on their clinical stuff, which is fine. We need both.
Yep.
But for, the profitable dentist to realize that not only do we, two things, not only do we need customer service training and systems training and the team to understand, but then secondly, also they need to understand that not everybody comes to meetings like this anymore.
Yeah.
And so we went live on Facebook, which was huge, just like we're doing now, because there are people sitting at home going, I need that training. And a lot of times in the front office, dental assistants, we've got single moms, we've got ones that can't travel. We have dentists who can't afford to send somebody to Florida, but they can still get the training now.
Absolutely.
It's all online.
Absolutely.
So it's
and
great.
I think that's what's so cool is because when you take what you guys have done, like you said, with what Elijah's been doing now, what Steve's done, Steve understands it because he's always had that business person hat. I mean, he sees the value of everybody in the practice.
Yeah.
And so it seemed like just a perfect match to kind of pull all this together.
It's kind of fun. Because I've been working since we met with Elijah, and he's doing a lot online.
Yep.
And then I've heard of the Profitable Dentist, Woody Oakes. I was on a podcast with him years ago. And so the balance of trying to bring old school and new school together, it was interesting yesterday to watch people in the audience who were here live, who get a value in that, but then also knowing people are online and that we're bringing everyone together. I think it's huge. I think it's great.
So you've had some really, really great success here just in the last 6 months, which, as you know, it's like a big relief, especially when you start something from scratch and you put all the work into it, and then to finally see like people realizing it and that also brings, awareness, right, of all these people now that you're serving and some things that you're learning. Talk a little bit about that. What are some things that you've learned by exposing, I'll say in a lot of regards, the excitement for the front office team, but what it's shared with you about how implementation you mentioned,
So the biggest thing I'm having issues with is, I've been in dentistry. I've talked to dentists for years, and they said, "But Laura, I have to hire somebody that knows Dentrix or EagleSoft or Open Dental." And I'm like, "No, you don't. We can teach them. We can train them." And so when I first started Front Office Rocks, the whole idea was for new employees. Give me somebody who worked in a restaurant, somebody who worked in retail, who understands sales and customer service, and I'll teach them dental. So that's been the kind of the main focus of Front Office Rocks. But what I'm trying to do now is regular training, like regular customer service training. And I recommend for somebody who's been in dental, 1 hour a week. 1 hour a week of training, because we get beat up. We get the insurances telling us they're not going to pay for things. Patients walking in complaining about being at the dentist. The assistant's mad. The hygienist is, So we get beat up. Everybody does in our industry. The issue is implementation, and I'm having a big issue with that right now. With my doctors will sign up and they'll either love it and they get it and they're good leaders and they set time aside for the team to do the training, or they'll do it at staff meetings, or they'll do it, in the huddles in the morning. Or they don't use it at all. It's $149 a month to sign up for and they say, well, it didn't fix my problem. Well, have you used it? No. So the biggest issue I'm having right now is implementing the training, because it doesn't just happen. I have people actually, when they sign up, I say, when are you going to do the training? And a lot of people say, when it fits in. You can't just when it fits in. You have to, but dentists think about production, numbers, schedule. And if you don't set time aside to actually invest in your team and train, it's not going to happen. I know what it is. As soon as I sit down at the front desk, game on. You don't get up and go, I think I'll go watch a video.
Right.
I'll go read an article. I'll go learn. You have to set time aside. And I'm working my teams with that. My dentist, I've kind of figured out that the best time to do it is first thing in the morning or first thing after lunch. You have to have a designated area. They have to go sit. You do an hour a week. But dentists are still learning.
Sure.
But it's in your office. It's very inexpensive. It's easy to do. You don't have to take them to Orlando. You don't have to bring them to a conference. But there's a balance of kind of, teaching them how to do it.
And Elijah and I were talking about this earlier with some of the work that he's doing on the marketing side. With all of these different resources out there now, you can create this element of, the ultimate solution.
Yeah.
And yet what we're all realizing is that, no, a lot of these new services and resources are not the ultimate solution. They're like a piece in the puzzle that bring other people in. But to your point, Laura, you still have to, there's still a leadership aspect. You still have to plan and build it in, or it's not going to work.
I talk about, we had CEREC in our practice, and when we bought CEREC, years and years and years ago, it was like just plug it in and it'll save your lab bill. It's not as easy as plugging it in. You have to actually implement it. There's a lot of stuff, technology in the offices and dental equipment and things that aren't being used, and it has nothing to do with the equipment, has nothing to do with the training or whatever. If you don't actually implement it, if you don't take time to learn it. In fact, I had a friend of mine who said he converted from one software to the other, practice management software. He did not shut down to train his team. He saw patients while they were learning the software, and I saw him 6 months later, and he goes, my team hates this software. And I said, why? And he goes, because they just hate it. And I'm like, because you didn't give them a chance to learn it.
Right.
You don't go buy something and expect it's going to fix your problem. If you're not going to take the time to train your team, tell them why we're getting it, explain the purpose behind it.
Yep.
You can't just plug it in and make it work.
Yeah.
And that's the same with everything. We were just talking about this before you and I went live. I was talking to an office manager last week about their dentists going to seminars, and I'm pointing because we're here at the Profitable Dentist, and there's all these dentists in there right now, and they're all excited about bringing something back. They're going to go to their office, and if their team's not here with them, they're going to be so excited about something they heard this weekend. And this office manager told me, she said, we wait 10 days. So what do you mean? She said, we wait 10 days. If he's still excited in 10 days, we'll consider it. But the first 10 days, he forgets about it.
Right.
So there's this balance of like, you're excited about something, but you can't just expect your team's going to go, yay. There's some work around it, and you really need to understand how to implement things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I like to tell a story about that. I had the opportunity years ago. I would go to a lot of Frank Spears events when I worked with Brassler. We sold the hand pieces and that.
Yeah.
And then also, Frank had created, burrs that, him and Dr. Coyce would use.
Yeah.
And people would buy them like hotcakes. And then they would call, they'd get them back to their practice, they'd call and they'd be like, our preps don't look like Frank's. And I was like, how do you say, he's been doing that for a lot of years,
it's not
just
the handpiece.
By just putting the the burr in the handpiece does not mean all of a sudden. I mean, it takes that skill, and it's obviously it's a lot of that. We're in this very cool time right now. A lot of people are creating great resources, like what you've said, and we're learning from it. It's just a matter of continuing to support, and continue to give back. But I think the most exciting thing is that the front office teams are now becoming empowered with a lot of the work that you're doing. And that is only going to make things better in the practice, which is cool.
Yeah, and I love, like you said, Kevin Henry, Tia Hunter. Yep. I mean, I think personally the dental assistants and the front office are underrepresented, undereducated, meaning at these CEs and at these events.
Sure.
I remember going to dental conventions, ADA, walking around the showroom floor, and there was like for every 200 booths that had to do with clinical, hygienists and doctors, there was like one for front office.
Right.
And so I think it's changing. Mm-hmm. I think doctors are understanding that it's changing, but it's definitely we've got a lot to do.
Some work to do. Yeah.
And I would love it. I'm working with Kevin Henry and Tia a lot about the front office and the assistants. Yeah. Because we have this back office front office problem. Mm-hmm. We have the hygienists against the assistants. We have the front office against the back office, and a lot of it is because our doctors aren't trained in management. They're not trained in human resources and systems and how to. And so we develop these offices that are full of like this back and forthness issues. Yep. And we need to fix that because at the end of the day, we're about the patients. We should be about the patients. And the patients know, even if we're hiding it, the patients know when the front office and the back office don't get along or the assistants and the hygienists don't get along. And we should all be working towards the same purpose.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What else are you really excited about? You got anything else up your sleeve?
Well, I have a book. I just launched my book in January.
Yes.
So my book is called Step Away from the Drill. So the idea is for dentists because I talk to so many dentists and they're about production, efficiency, systems. And I'm all about that too. But I don't think that dentists understand what happens in the front office. And so the whole book is written about what should you be expecting out of the front office, how to have conversations with your front office team, your receptionists, your schedulers, and all of that, how to implement things, because they didn't teach them in dental school. Yeah. And so the dentists know what the assistants should do. The dentists know what they want their hygienists to do, but they walk through the front and they go, well, I hope she's answering the phone well,
Yeah.
So my book is that. And it's just basically trying to open up the eyes of dentists to realize how important the front office is and help them have that conversation. Yeah. I'm working on my second book on hiring. It's not going to be out anytime soon because it's a lot to read a book. But I feel that if dentists can learn how to hire well. They have the resource now to train them. They know what should be happening. I'm hoping that can kind of change what happens in the front.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I have to ask you, because I think what I've been so impressed with you, Laura, is the fact that you are very upfront when it comes to sharing with the dentists what you see and what you've learned.
Yeah.
You know, almost contrarian thought leader like, right? Where it's like, no, but there's respect there.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you've been so successful, is I think that I know a lot of times it's hard for the doctors to hear what you talk about.
Yeah.
But I think there's a level of respect, because I think intuitively they know.
Yeah. Well, my other thing too is I think there's amazing consultants out there. I mean, I was just on a cruise with Linda Miles, and it's funny, I was teasing her because I said every time I ask if people know Linda Miles, the audience is getting smaller and smaller of who knows who Linda Miles is. Gordon Christensen, all of these great people who are our forefront for us to do what we're doing. But there's amazing consultants out there, but I think that's more at the high level with the dentist and with the systems and with the overall organization, which is needed, right?
Yep.
We're teaching our dentists to be better leaders. But what about that new receptionist? What about that new scheduler? When the dentist comes back and goes, I need you to fill my schedule. I need you to get patients. You know, patients cancel and no-show all the time. People don't want to pay their bill. Actually, I heard it yesterday, and I wish I could remember who said it. They call it the hallway of amnesia. I think it was Gary Cady who said yesterday, the hallway of amnesia. Patients walk down the hall and they forget everything we told them. They're like, what? I have to pay? I have to schedule? I say when patients get anesthesia, they get amnesia, right?
Right.
So there's all these little details that my goal is to not be this big consultant in systems. I could do that, but there's plenty of great consultants doing that. I really want to work on just the little things. When that patient's mad and they walk in and they've got an EOB and they're mad because the insurance didn't pay, and now you're standing at the front desk and you've got patients in the area and they're in front of you and they're mad and the phone starts ringing. How do you handle that? You know, and the dentist, you know, they don't know. I mean, a dentist has never sat at the front desk of their dental office, probably. They don't understand how stressful it is. So that's really where I'm focused. And, you know, and I think it goes both ways. I mean, I'm trying to not only show the dentist how important it is and how hard it can be in the front,
but the front team
to realize how important it is. You know, we were talking about it yesterday. Like, you got a patient standing in front of you, and the phone rings, and the hygienist walks up, and the doctor walks up. How do you handle that?
Right.
And those are the details that's what I focus on.
Or,
you know, the
like,
day-to-day.
as you know, sometimes the amount of work that the dentist and the hygienist and the dental assistant do to get the case acceptance, and then the patient goes up to the front, and if they're not prepared or they don't understand the challenges that they face on the back, that also could drop the baton. You know, and so there certainly is that education.
It's definitely
there.
the team.
It's both ways.
The team effort.
I got thinking about when you're talking about onboarding people. You know, when new employees in other industries, like if you start at GE or what have you, I mean, they treat a lot of any employee with all of this training, and it really should be no different.
I mean, Chick-fil-A. Yesterday somebody said, "What's the best place to Chick-fil-A?" They hand chicken and fries to you.
Right.
But they train them so well. We were talking about it yesterday about I think the most important piece of technology in the dental office is the telephone. It's not the CEREC, it's not your intraoral camera, it's not, because if we're not handling the phones well, you're not going to get a lot of CERECs, you're not going to get a lot of crowns or whatever.
Right.
Yet, what we do is we take the brand new person in the front and we try them out on the phones. We're like, let's see how they do. Here's our insurances, this is what we do. This person's not trained, and we pay thousands of dollars for the phone to ring, and then now we have the least trained person on the phones. And so training is huge, you know. And because our patients are judging us on that, rightfully so, I don't know, but that's all they know. They don't know if you're a good dentist. They don't know if you've been to Coyce and Spears, and you know, they only know how they feel. And if you've got the untrained person answering the phones who's insecure and worried. And honestly, we have a lot of turnover problems in the dental office. And a lot of statistics show that people realize in their first week whether they're going to stay somewhere long term. And I remember my first week in the dental office, I was like, what the heck did I do? Like, it's crazy.
Like you just went to boot camp.
And a lot of times we have other employees who are good at something, whatever it is, train the new employee. But just because you're good at something doesn't mean you're a good trainer. It's like, let me just show you how to do this. This is how you do it. And if people don't know the why behind why it's important, why is it important we turn over rooms in a certain way? Why is it important we answer the phones a certain way? We just tell them how to do it. And if they don't have the why, then
Yeah.
they just kind of do tasks. The why is huge. I mean, Simon Sinek says it, right? It's all about the why, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, they feel disconnected and all
yeah,
that.
yeah.
How can people learn more about you? What's the best place to go? And certainly take advantage of the great service that you're offering.
Yeah, thank you. It's all online. So I am not a consultant. Like I said, I don't go in office. I think consultants are underpaid, undervalued,
Sure.
but I'm all online. And so it's all, it's $149 a month. It's subscription based. You can go to Front Office Rocks. There's sample videos on the homepage. I'm all over social media.
Yep.
YouTube. You just search Front Office Rocks and you can see some sample videos and kind of my philosophy and all of that. So
Awesome.
yeah.
It's always a pleasure.
I do want to say before we finish, and we were slightly distracted because we're here for the Profitable Dentist, but
Yes.
there's an Herbalife convention going on, and these people are like dressed to the nines, and it's noon on on Saturday. So I'm trying to focus on you as I'm watching some of these outfits go by. So
When I came down this morning, they just came in waves
Yeah.
and nicely dressed, and I thought, what is going on a Saturday morning? And
I think what you should do is between interviews, you should just turn the camera on what we're watching because it's not like a normal dental convention for sure.
No.
Yeah, maybe
no.
I should get into Herbalife. I
Yeah,
don't know.
they are dressed to the. And actually,
Yeah.
what was funny is this morning, like they all had their shakes. And I didn't know that it was Herbalife right away, but then I
Yeah.
thought, very, very good followers
Yeah,
of the.
they all look like they can go to a nightclub
Yes.
right now, and it's the middle of the afternoon on Saturday. So, yeah, exactly. Dental meeting, Herbalife, very different. So thank you. This has been great.
Always.
Thank
all right.
you.
Best of luck, and
Thank you.
hopefully get some rest. And
I
you've been
know.
all over the place.
I got
and-
2 weeks
and-
not speaking, so I'll talk all the time, but
Yeah.
not officially speaking. Try to get rid of this cold, but thank
Great.
you.
Yeah, you got it. Thanks for coming
All
on.
right, thanks.
Appreciate it.